Hi, so today's video is going to be about some new research that's come out, and it's about the relationship between posture and eyesight and your bite. And I've talked before about research on the connection between eyesight and posture. That was latent hyperopia in young children, and also some research to do with the connection between your bite malocclusions and the prevalence of various refractive errors. This research looks at all three of those issues in under one setting. It's really interesting. So I'm just going to summarize what the article is about. It's called Bite and Sight. Is there a correlation? Clinical association between dental malocclusions. So a dental malocclusion, that is when your teeth don't fit together properly. So for instance, if you need to have braces, then you would probably have a malocclusion. Okay, so clinical association between dental malocclusion and visual disturbances in pediatric patients. So this research was done on children. And a visual disturbance, by that they mean, is it long-sighted, short-sighted, astigmatism, strabismus, tracking problems, so any sort of which way that someone might not be able to see properly, but without it being a serious eye disease. So the researchers are Cristina Grappaldo, Patricia Valerio, Cristiano Romeo, Fabiana Fiasca, and Vincenzo Quinzi. So this has been done in Rome, in Brazil, L'Aquila in Italy, so Italy and Brazil. So the aim of the study, it was to evaluate, and I quote, the correlation between malocclusions and visual defects. So they took 160 patients aged from 5 to 14, and they looked to see if they had malocclusions, and the ones with the lowest score were used as the control group. So the people who were okay were the control group. So they were like the general population, and then people who had the children who had some malocclusions, they were obviously the research group. So so they were being compared against the control group. What it says was the results. So obviously they looked at their teeth, then they did a thorough eye test to see how their eyes functioned, and the results in brief showed an enhanced prevalence of refractive defects or fusional vergence defects and alteration of eye movements in almost all dental occlusions. So if you've got a bit of a problem with how your teeth fit together, or how your jaw fits together, then you've got a higher chance of having some eyesight problems. So refractive defect, that is long-sighted, short-sighted. Fusional vergence defects, that can be convergence insufficiency. I think that might include strabismus, where the eyes are in a bit different places, exophoria, which is like a little strabismus, alteration of eye movements, excuse me, that would be tracking, whether you can track along a line okay when you're reading. So that's the main eye functions basically. So what they're concluding is that there was quite a strong correlation, and there was quite a prevalence of visual defects when there was also a problem with the teeth or the jaw. So the introduction is basically just setting up that your face has a lot of muscles and everything interrelates and connects. So if your mouth might be moving improperly, that might affect how your eyes are going to move. And also they go a bit deeper then. They go into posture. So they're talking about, well, what have you got in your face? You've got the nose, you've got the eye, you got the maxilla, I think that's the jaw and the ear, and they all interrelate and influence each other. So it says here the relationship between occlusion, the masticatory muscle system, and head posture have recently been confirmed. So mastication sounds really rude, but it means it's when you chew your food. So if you're chewing something, you are masticating. So how your jaw moves is going to affect what you see. And in previous videos, I have talked about this a bit because I've had work done on my teeth. I have a bit of an unstable jaw. I mean, it used to dislocate quite a bit. I've been a lot better since I've had the work done. But I also have a high arch palate, so that my tongue doesn't ever really sit properly on the roof of my mouth because there's space up there. So that does affect my posture. I kind of tend to be a bit tight sometimes, and that does affect my eyesight. And I have been saying it in other videos, but this just confirms everything. So I'm really glad these people did this research. So it says several studies, have supported the anatomic connection between the stomatognathtic system. So that, I don't know what that is, but I assume that's like a technical word for your face and your head, and how all the, bones and muscles interrelate. I don't know. I could be wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong. Since the maxilla, well, that would be around about the jaw area. So it's got to interface with all the bones that form the orbit. The orbit is here, where your eyeballs go. So it says untreated malocclusions can lead to visual problems. So say if you've got tooth crowding, or you've got buck teeth, that's an example of malocclusion. I mean, mine was, I had a very narrow bite, so I was rolling my head a lot because I just didn't have space there. That has very much improved. So it says it can lead to visual problems, and then if you've got visual problems, that can lead to altered mandibular posture. So if you're squinting, you're probably going to gurn your face. Sorry, I'm pulling faces at you all, but you get the picture. If you're straining your eyes, you're going to be clenching your jaw. So what they're saying is this is related. You know, one thing leads to another, and it all gets churned up in the mix. So if one system isn't working, they can both be off and not work properly. The central nervous system integrates proprioception and others. Right, okay, so forget the big words, but other sensory systems such as vision and the vestibular system. So your vestibular, that's your balance. So that to create an overall representation of body position, movement and acceleration. Now this is interesting because this is a little bit where the idea of autism and unity of body and overstimulation comes in. And I do remember when I got my first pair of glasses that actually worked for me. So that was a pair of down-based prisms, and the interesting thing was they raised my head, so I had a better posture. And the first thing I noticed was, oh my God, my hands are actually joined to my arms, my feet are actually joined to my legs, and I had no idea that you know, I didn't have unity of body before. I mean, it was something I'd heard about or read about, but I didn't think it applied to me because obviously it wasn't severe enough. I mean, for some people, they kind of lose their hands and feet because they feel that disconnected from them. It wasn't like that with me, but once I got those glasses and realised, oh my God, you know, this is actually joined to this. So that is an example of how my eyesight and my posture was affecting, you know, how I sensed my own body. And I honestly had no idea that I wasn't sensing it properly until I put those glasses on. So, yeah. And if you have a situation of altered muscular tension in one part, so it could be anywhere in your body. Now, say you get, say you hurt your foot and you can't really walk. It says then you're going to get a problem somewhere else. And commonly, if someone hurts their leg, the next thing that will start hurting is their shoulder on the opposite side, because, you know, everything is in a bit of a chain, you know, all the nerves, all the connections. So if one thing is a bit out, then everything else will be a bit skewed out. So what it says here and obviously you'd be compensating. So on the subject of compensation, what they say is the alteration of the jaw position or the mouth position can cause temporary alteration of the position of the pupillary line. So that's where your eyes, obviously the black bit is your pupil, it's how your eyes would be lined up to look at anything. So if your jaw is a bit skew, if say you've got bigger teeth one side, then that is going to affect how your eyes line up. They're not going to do it properly, and that is going to give rise to some problems, maybe with reading, or maybe you'll get a sore neck because you're going like this to look at everything. So to follow an object, the eyes must be able to coordinate the movement of the head and the neck. So your head and neck actually need to be in balance for you to be able to follow things effectively. Okay. We've got okay, so I'm going to move down this bit. Remember, this article is online if you want to read it. So this is quite interesting. It says that human beings have eye dominance when the preference of one eye is enhanced. That is normal. So normally if you're right-handed, your right eye would be dominant, and there is a tendency to move the head to the opposite side of the dominant eye. So if your dominant eye is your right, you would move it this way, and consequently to move the mandible, so the jaw, to the dominant eye side. So you would move it this way, and saying that's my dominant eye, and you move your jaw like that. Now I do the complete opposite, even though my right eye is the dominant eye, because if I do this little test, this is the eye that stays still. So, you know, I've got this kind of fight going on there. So there are 3 points they make here. That if mandibular displacement, so if your jaw is kind of out of position, then that can cause a compensation in the position of the head. Ocular phorias, so that's where your eye muscles might be a bit weak and have a tendency to move, you know, you can have one eye move it drifting out to the side, as I have with my left eye. That can cause a head compensating posture, even to the point of where you get torticollis. Torticollis is when the neck muscles kind of seize up and spasm, and I've got a mild one of those. I've been much less bothered with it since getting my teeth fixed and improving my glasses and improving everything, but I did have a little bit of a problem with that. Position of the head is a key point in the body balance to maintain a centre of gravity compatible with the standing position. So you actually need your head balanced in order to stand up comfortably, and if you're tilting to one side, obviously you're going to be compensating a lot. Right, so I'm going to stop this here because I'm going to do this video in 2 parts. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Really hope to see you for part 2.